Okay.
Agree, did you guys approve, have you approved a new salary schedule with your July budget? Is there a place?
Sure. It won't be on
Yes.
probably a few days. I'm happy to look in here today.
Yeah, do you have a new one? Oh, that's right, you're working. I might have to like you then for individual. You don't have any jobs planned. First, and I wouldn't have that. Yes.
We gave a 2% cost of living increase. Wait a second. How did you guys do for?
We didn't do it for years. Most of our stuff increases over the.
Okay, so you know, there's
Stuff.
and all employees are in this stuff. Okay.
Except for part-timers.
You did it.
Our staff is 3.6, and then we did a 3% COLA, just because our ranges are at, so knowing where we were,
Yeah.
we're trying to keep pace.
No, we have not read it.
So maybe what I do, and my next one neighbors.
So you're welcome.
All right, I think we have everybody. So I'm gonna call us to order at 3:04. Kurt, will you call the roll, please?
We're all present.
Excellent. Thanks. Okay, can I get a motion to approve today's agenda?
So.
Second. And there's a second. Any questions or comments about the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion carries. The minutes from April 16th were included in the packet. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So.
Second.
Any comments, discussions, corrections to the minutes? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. We have a dispatcher recognition.
Yes, ma'am. Both of them are night shifts, so they're not here. But this is the one that you and I spoke about. So in August of last year, there was a gentleman that had a heart attack in Stacy Park. And he walked out of the hospital, was perfectly fine now with his family. And it was Roy that actually took the call. And it was Shannon on the fire radio, but the entire call, I mean, it was probably 4 or 5 minutes long, waiting till all that FD got there. But he was just so grateful and thankful that we actually set it up to where he could come in and meet them. So, but they did a fantastic job.
All right, next item is new collaboration with WashU PD Communication Center.
Yes, ma'am. So the WashU, my counterpart over there at the Danville campus, called us and said, hey, can we set up a meeting? So we did. They're completely reorganizing over there, and they had some people leave. And so he's worried that they're not going to have the coverage they need for about 3 or 4 months during the summertime. And so he asked if some of our dispatchers might be willing to do some shifts over there. And so I had 3 people that actually filled out the application that he sent over, and it's a pretty long application. It's a WashU police application. And that filled it out, and I sent those over. He said he'd let me know what the next steps were, but I also had everyone go in and read the policy on secondary employment. You know, you can't be calling out with us to go work with them and things like that. So, and he also invited us. They're doing a 3-day active shooter drill that he invited us to come and play with them. And so Kurt is going to take the lead on that.
And then they're doing searches for to fill those
Yes,
positions.
yes.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
It's good to know.
And he said he'd like us to do some more joint training, things like that as well, so.
All right. Next item on the agenda is department level provisioning meetings have been completed.
Yes, ma'am. The last one we did was with Chief Ellis and his command staff. About 2.5 hours. And this one, I think we probably, now that we really knew how to do them, I think this one went a lot better. And at the end of it, for about, 30 minutes, they were able to go. So Kim had projected the CAD up on the screen there. And they were able to say, okay, show us this call from station 2 to here or whatever. And it wasn't showing the route, but it was at least showing what trucks would be pulled. And so we did quite a few of those. Be like, okay, that makes sense. And I know Chief Ellis and his team said that it was really helpful to get under the engine and see how the whole process works. And so now I think we're going to do another round of these because they worked out so well. And I know you and I emailed last week, we wanted to do the proximity hazards next. We're going to look at mapping route. That's next.
And those were priority 1.
Yes, ma'am.
And so now you're going to do not priority 1, but
Well, so we were
We're gonna do
looking at what
priority
trucks
one.
were pulled.
Okay.
Now we have to look at
the map.
mapping and routing because it's not right. And there is a effort in the works right now. The NDA has been signed, but the MOU is not complete, where Regis is actually going to get Central County's maps. But for them two to work together, they have to have all that paperwork. So that is currently in the works according to the last part.
Is there an anticipated timeframe?
I asked that and he said it's with the attorneys, and so they don't know when the MOU will be completed because it seems like it's been about a month.
Do you know when you'll start? Are you going to wait for county's maps to do your second round, or are you going to start the second
We were
round?
going to start as soon as we have a good vote. And that's the next item from the thing, the initiation of the mapping route.
So I guess can the board tell you to just keep pushing for that? I know it's not us, but keep pushing
Oh,
between Regis and Central County.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Do you want to just move into the new mapping routing meetings? Or have we,
That
Anything
was
else?
what I was talking about,
Okay.
just starting this.
any other questions from the board about that topic? All right. Moving on, mission critical partners CAD, staffing, pricing, assessment.
After we did the RFP, Mission Critical Partners was the only one that actually submitted anything, and we specifically asked them to do the CAD assessment, the staffing assessment, and the pricing assessment, priced them separately. And so I do have that. It's not in your packet, but this was a 60-page proposal, so I just printed the actual statement of work of the scope of work that they're going to do. And it kind of shows like on, I mean, we know what the CAD assessment is going to be, but like on the staffing assessment, they said they know that we've done this APCO retained study. They're very familiar with the methodology, but Mission Critical Partners found that the NINA model combined with industry experience is typically more accurate. So we're going to get, we're going to see if that retained study
Different
really
model.
if it really holds water or not. And then the alternate pricing strategy is looking at a way to maybe do some kind of hybrid model or something if the calls for service is simply not what everybody likes.
Yeah, so this is page 50 of our electronic document.
Yes, ma'am. And so the CAD assessment is 48,900, and that was what we had budgeted for the thing. The staffing assessment is 11,000 and change, and the pricing strategy is 9,000. So the total is 70,000, $5 short. So that was why we did price this separately. I think we should do all three. I think all three are necessary, but again, that's $20,000 more. question.
Okay, I'm gonna open it up to thoughts from the board.
Was the intention that we,
At this point, I personally wouldn't be interested in the alternate pricing strategy for an additional 10,000. I know that we just talked about this whenever that was, a year and a half ago, and decided to keep that calls for service model. I'm not interested in exploring anything different at this point. But as far as the CAT assessment, I think that's definitely necessary. And I think the staffing assessment is going to be an important piece of this as well. So I would deeply support those two.
considering what's changed since we last discussed alternate pricing, David, I'm curious why you're not in support of doing that.
This just goes back to the general philosophy that I think we should pay for what we're actually using here. And the best way to do that is through a calls for service model. You know, I don't know that we need to pay somebody $10,000 to help us come up with a hybrid model, if that's something this board would want to discuss. You know, a hybrid model being kind of like you pay for a water service, which is, you know, a base rate to keep the system in place, and then a usage rate on top of that based on how much water you actually utilize within your house. But I think that's something we could probably work through on our own and not spend $10,000 on.
We haven't been willing to work through it on our own, though. I would be in favor, if we're going to move forward with this, having an outside partner where this is their expertise to share their recommendations and to help us facilitate those conversations.
So I hear that, gonna write that down. And you are also supporting the other two?
Before David had started, my initial question was, is this meant for us to vote on and make decisions today, or are we having the discussion?
I think it's up to the board. If we want to discuss, think about, come back in August, or if we are ready, we can vote. So I leave that up to us as a group.
Brad, where did the idea come from for the alternate pricing strategy?
It was something when we were going through all of the budgets and everything, I know a few that said that the calls for service model they felt like wasn't really cutting it, if you will. And I know that maybe a year and a half ago, I guess the same question came up, like David had alluded to, and Paul actually did a bunch of different models with the base and things like that. And so I tend to agree that I mean, we could take on a lot of this ourselves, but as Dr. People pointed out, we haven't. And so that's where the thought came from, is just that the strictly calls for service wasn't cutting it.
So have you given some thought to how we would pay for this?
The additional thing, no, I mean, an extra $20,000 we would have to either take out reserves or do, well, if we don't do the alternate pricing strategy, then it's $10,000. If we do both, it's $20,000, but I know we did not budget for that initiative.
So you're saying, yeah, because the CAT assessment, I thought we budgeted 50.
We did.
Right, so it's how much over the 50, or how would we finance beyond it?
It's 20.
Yeah, it's either 10 over or 20 over, yeah, which is what you just said.
And you have thoughts about how we might achieve that? Have you looked at the budget to see where, my recollection is we don't have a lot of wiggle room.
We don't have.
We're cutting close to
Yes,
the
we don't. So I don't know in these instances what the correct way forward.
Well, I think at least as a board now we know how much it would cost for those two additional services. And one of the reasons we asked that it be, broken out is so that we can have a menu, right? And we can choose the menu. We all wanted the CAD, budgeted for the CAD. And so, decision for the board is, do we want to add these two now? Do we want to maybe do them later? Will they hold their pricing? I mean, they usually have a time limit on their pricing.
I want to say, don't quote me on it, and I'll get back to you after this meeting, but I want to say 90 days.
90 days. So we at least know in the ballpark what it would be if these are something that we want to go down.
How long would this entire project last? I mean, there are different components of it. Did they indicate that to you?
A few weeks. I mean, it's like the first 3 days when they go through, okay, this is the initial project. They're actually going to go out and sit with every chief and get their list of the good, the bad, and the ugly. They're going to do dispatch observations, sit with Kurt and I, and it's a lot. It's a lot they're going to do. And he also, when I talked to him on the phone the last time, he said they have a new thing that they do now where, because AI is coming on so strongly and so quickly in public safety, that they can do, and it's no additional cost, but they can do an assessment of our ecosystem, our environment, to see if we are AI ready.
Is that part of,
It's something that they've added on to
I
it.
saw that in there. Is that gonna be part of the CAD assessment, or is that part of?
It's part of just like assessing the overall operation.
So if we only do the CAD assessment, do you think that will be included?
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess the thought is, we could always vote whether or not we want to move forward with the item that we budgeted, and if we want to, like, to break up the vote or not vote on the other ones and bring them back to the August meeting. So I mean, this is the only person the only entity that responded to our CAD assessment RFP. So, I mean, I'm happy to make a motion that we at least give them notice to proceed with the CAD assessment, and we can continue to have the conversation today about the other two items.
Do we have confirmation that these prices are indeed a la carte and don't depend on?
They are all card. Yes, ma'am. That was in the proposal that this is why we want you to break them out so we can pick and choose.
Okay. So we're not getting any discount by bundling.
Even though I think the CAD assessment came in about $1,000 cheaper than the one that Chief wrote to from October.
Did you engage someone else to do the staff assessment? And you came back with some information at the April meeting?
So Matrix, which is another consulting company, reached out and said, hey, we can do the staffing assessment. We can do the pricing assessment, but we are not technical enough to do the CAD assessment. Fitch and Associates never even responded. So
Did Matrix give you pricing for the two components that they can do?
they did not. We didn't go any further than that. As soon as, I mean, he's like, which one of these three is most important to you? I said, honestly, the CAD assessment.
Right. That was the bulk of the proposal, right?
So,
Would the board like to see comparative pricing on the two alternate? From Matrix?
Did they not respond?
they didn't submit anything.
Yeah, they didn't submit, but
That might be an indication of they.
yes, I think.
But I guess what I was asking is, I know that, Paul, I thought he had done, some assessment, staffing assessment, and brought that information back, and we asked the question during the budget process, and you reminded us what those numbers were, and that you were going to update that.
It was the different
It's just
model.
the
It was a
October
different
case
model.
study. Exactly what-
They're using, what do you call it, the Nina model?
So that's what they would use, the NINA model combined with industry experience to validate or contradict what we
The
retained,
APCO.
the APCO retained studies.
I'll use the APCO. And
That's what I did.
then there was a request from the board in April to use existing folks instead of positions.
Authorizations, which we did.
We did, and then the APCO still came back with the same thing.
Well, and wouldn't our staffing assessment be impacted by our discussion about this other software? I'm not gonna say the word.
Really, and
Yeah, there you go.
From the web software.
I mean, Wouldn't our decision on this AI software have an impact on the staffing assessment? I would hope it does,
So
I guess.
according to,
Isn't that the point?
so I've actually spoken, well, the point is to allow that 72% of our calls in 2024 were on that hotline slot. And so we've all talked about, they're across the board of what people call in for. But it's the whole purpose, and actually speaking with the guy that created this Reliant software, the whole purpose of doing this is to automate processes and to allow them to focus on what they're actually there for, which is not the one.
Right, so I guess I'm saying, if we're not gonna do it, then it doesn't matter, but if we were to do it, don't we need to implement that before we do a staffing assessment that
And
includes that
that's
operation?
not bad. And that would have to be something that would definitely have to be done by a consulting company, because there's nowhere in AppCo software to put like a Reliant. So that would have to be someone boots on the ground going, okay, this is going to take 70,000 calls away from your dispatchers. So
The model will be different now.
I think that's a great point.
So it has to be together though. I mean, as I read the detail of the staffing assessment, it's really evaluating our current workload distribution, operational capacity, and read it to everybody, but it doesn't have to be a panic. Would we make a shift to AI? We don't know that we're operating optimally right now. I see one with a future vision. I'm not sure how we plan for the future if we don't know how we're operating today. Along those notes, I mean, for me, the alternative pricing strategy goes in it when I look at the staffing assessment. If we're really going to talk about shifting models, whether that's how many people on a shift, times a day of shift, remote work, I see all of that in there. I don't know how we do that and have a conversation about making moves if we're not also talking about alternate pricing. We may need to shift our model, and that may be more for member cities to be able to support the different staffing model. Seems like we're trying to do things piecemeal. Remind me of what our fund balance is.
the what the whole budget was for FY26. So it was at 5 something, and we committed 100 on the budget, so around 4.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it looks, so you said this the May 31st budget. It looks like, I'm reading it right, our expenses have come in less than our revenues. So that's good, with
We're not gonna touch.
still a month, you know, at this point, 2.5 weeks left.
Sure.
Right? To the tune as of, you know, beginning of June to, you know, $200,000, $250,000. So we may be putting some of that into our fund balance so that, you know, we can take that into consideration as well.
And looking at the audit letter from Sickage, it's, and I'm not a CPA, and so some of this doesn't make sense. If he's like, okay, you take your liabilities and depreciation out of your balance, but that money's actually still there.
Right, because you have unpaid liabilities for PTO and pension payments.
Is there an opportunity for the staffing assessment to include some analysis of the impact of using an AI service?
I think
That's a conversation they're having.
I think that's absolutely on point, because while they're getting us ready, while they're doing this assessment to see if our ecosystem and environment is ready for AI, I think that conversation has to come up. Okay, here's the one that we're looking at that would take X amount of calls away from our current dispatchers. How do those two coincide with each other. And so I think that would have to go hand in hand.
Is the board ready to make a decision on any of what has been presented today? And if the answer is no, that's fine, but I'd like to pass it.
I think I am, and in the interest of maintaining our momentum, ensuring that we can get the data, information, and analysis that we collectively think that we need in order to improve services. I'm in favor of all three services together. It's a strain on our budget, but if we are coming away a little bit in the positive in terms of our contacts.
Is that a motion? Or are you just throwing it out for discussion?
Throwing it out.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, doing dirty math. I can't remember what we called it, but the whole keeping the fund balance, we decided 12%. We're current fund balance of 400 grand. We're cutting it really close. And I know we do have some like this June expenditures at several $1,000s. So I don't think it's gonna be $250 million, but just in case, I just wanted to put that out there.
That's good information to know.
Brad, what is your recommendation?
I recommend all three. Even though, as Amber pointed out, it does put a strain on the money. I mean, we had about 35 that I estimated was going to be left over for FY25, and then we spent that 11,000 on the 6 chairs, and we haven't had any other major expenses. The new computer things that we need for this coming year are a separate amount that we already budgeted for. So I think, you know, I remember David, when we were talking a couple meetings ago, we were talking about potential to grow, and he made the comment that I think we're status quo until we get our operation fixed, because we can't go out there and sell a product that isn't fully functional. And so I think something like this, bringing these people in, they're currently in Houston. They've got experience in DC. You know, they've seen a lot of these bigger systems. And, you know, as Lowell pointed out last time, when you guys brought consultants in, it helps. It really helps. And so, and I think, I don't know, to me, it just seems like this is going to complete that.
You know, I think we've been talking about this for quite a while. And I think in the past also, there has been a subcommittee of the board that was tasked with researching this, studying this, and bringing something back. There seems to be roadblocks, and perhaps when a third party that isn't as emotionally invested as us takes a look at this, maybe we might be able to look at it objectively. So, given the most recent discussion here now about the fund balance, 10,000, 20,000, it's not going to break the budget. So I would probably support we explore this as well.
Okay. Somebody willing to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve the 3 projects together. Execute the contract. Allow our executive directors.
Second.
Can we add language to include the AI, or is that a given?
So the AI assessment is something that was just brought up to me a few days ago.
I think that should be included in the model. It should be.
Yeah. Right. Would you mind amending?
Amended motion to empower the executive director to engage in a contract for these 3 projects with the understanding that the staffing assessment will include an AI enablement.
Absolutely.
I will second the amended motion.
Excellent. All right, so it's been moved and seconded to empower the executive director to move forward. I'm gonna paraphrase, but to move forward with the mission critical partners proposal for all 3 projects. So CAD, staffing assessment, pricing. Staffing assessment needs to include the AI enablement assessment that mission critical partners offered to do for free. Okay. So all those in favor of the motion, please say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, it passes. Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is ECDC website is up and
The
running.
old website is gone and the new one is up. I've been working with Bryce. The agendas and minutes are on there. We haven't put the recordings on there just yet. But we did find one little glitch. So if someone goes in and they do the compliment complaint form and they fill it out and then the website says, congratulations, you know, your comment has been sent. We don't know where it goes. So Bryce said, he goes, I can see it was submitted. So what we're thinking is it may go to Paul's at East-Central accounts, which no one is monitoring. So a little more work on that, but it's up and running now.
Bryce is gonna fix that.
So we have a place to hang things and to be compliant.
CAD failover.
Yes, and so that's tentatively set for July the 10th, and I apologize, gentlemen. I actually did a vote at the last RCAD meeting to not do it at 4 a.m., to do it at least at 6, and I got shot in by everybody. So, Chief Ellis had a concern about doing it at 4 a.m., which I get. However, the fire station already will not be affected.
Doing it at 6 a.m.
Right. Yeah. But they all wanted to do it at 4 because that was historically the slow. And as it stands right now, during the failover, we're down for 45 minutes one direction and then 45 minutes the other.
At the most.
At the most.
The last failover was about
20 and 20. Or 20 total.
20 minutes, either way.
And then, but in speaking with Regis, the Motorola has now, they're doing a web CAD. Now it's not a CAD in the cloud, but when they get this web CAD feature, they can do these failovers in about 30 seconds.
So is there anything that our police and fire folks need to do to be ready for this failover?
Not really.
You communicated, they know.
They know. It got pushed because Motorola couldn't find the funding or the time or whatever. And then we had a day and we're like, yes, we're going to do this date. And then that was when another storm coming. That's right. If we would have been doing that and that tornado would have came through that night, it could have been much worse. So we moved it to the 10th, and some of the other directors have said, really, no matter what's coming, let's just do it. So that's what we're planning for.
And this is not just ECDC folks, but everybody
Everybody
that's
in
on
our head.
our account.
The only thing that's gonna happen for the people on the street is they're gonna lose their MDTs, so get logged off. If you're awake, like a police officer, once it's back
Hopefully
up,
they're awake.
yeah, they better be. Once everything's back up at the backup site, then they can log back in. But either way, they'll still have the radio, so even if their MDT's logged off, like the fire department gets called 10 minutes after everything's up, we don't expect it to log back in right then and there before they respond. They just have some radio.
All right, any other questions about the failover? All right, APCO staffing study.
And we kind of talked about that.
Any
already.
other comments or questions?
The Aurelian in your package, the Aurelian software, he actually sent me a PowerPoint presentation that would have taken up way too much ink to print. So you do have it in your digital package. This right here is what he sent me, as this is what some of the agencies have been using to sole source this instead of going RFP. This Aurelian is the only one out there right now that is actually doing these things. So and this was given, we actually spoke with the fire chiefs and with the police chiefs to see if they had any issue over it. And everybody's good to go.
Do you need action on this, from us on this?
This is, again, this is $69,000 for the first year and $80,000 for each sequential year, and it's a 3-year contract.
Right, are you saying that they said that there's this was government pricing? You said that they sent you something that showed.
Well, we're getting the deal on the first year because we are the first PSAP in Missouri to have this, or to look at getting this, because right now they're in Washington and Oregon and Florida. And but this is something that it showed up on an APCO staffing board after we'd already done the budget. I called down to Volusia County and said, hey, tell me about this. I know we've kind of discussed some AI strategies. So I found out more about it, talked to 2 or 3 other directors that have this in place right now. And again, it's expensive, but it's cheaper than hiring 2 people.
What is the cost for this again?
68 for the first year, 80 for the years 2 and 3. And anytime during the first year, if he said no one has ever done this, but he said if for some reason we're not happy, he will let us out of the contract. No questions asked.
At the end of year 2.
At the end of
They want you to at least go 24 months or something?
he didn't really have a time limit. He just said, and I asked him, I was like, why would you do that? Why would you commit to something like that? He said, because right now we're young and our reputation is more important than money. So it's not, and I asked him, I was like, has anyone actually exercised that?
So what is this? This is the.
This is the packet that he sent me when I asked him. I said, how are people sole sourcing this? Because there's no other companies that are out there that are doing this, but there are other companies that have the call triage software, Versaterm, AWS, and things like that. But this is, so one of the guys that I talked to said he went down the RFP process and actually went with AWS first. It was, but AWS, they were trying to build it for him while they were, and he said, we got about $80,000 into the project. And I said, that's $80,000 I just lost on that. And so that, then he went over to Rio. He was one of the first ones, but then subsequent PSAPs have been doing this, have been doing the sole source method and having success. So, but that's why he sent me this. He said, these are the things we're doing that no one else does, that our software does that no one else does.
We don't have an agreement.
No.
So if we were to approve this, it would not be today.
No. I think we had asked about AI. He found out, we've asked more about AI. He's included their sort of packet electronically.
The PowerPoint.
Electronically. But I don't think you were looking for a decision from us.
But it's something I wanted to throw out there because it is something we didn't budget for at all, because we didn't even know about it at the time. And so I just kind of wanted your direction on what you want me to do.
I think it's something that we need to take really serious, because I mean, if it could reduce the volume of what the dispatchers are having to manually communicate over the phone and allow them to be dispatching and focusing on calls more and answering the phone less, and this makes it sound,
Making less mistakes.
this makes it sound, I mean, if we have that percentage of not administrative calls, but of non-911 calls, I don't know what percentage of that ends up being not emergency calls for officers or other things. I mean, that would be a huge lift off of the dispatchers. The efficiency, it would be fantastic.
And we could program this any way we wanted to. So if we wanted to say, okay, alarm companies and officers come straight through. And then we also, our secondary line, we wouldn't put on this. This would only be for the central 3,000 line. And it's, like I say, it's AI. And Max also said, if you're interested, he will come on site and do a demonstration. He's asked me that about 3 times. And so any of the chiefs that would like want to come and watch that as well. I have told them, I don't know if we need that or if we want that. So I kind of want to throw that out there as well. While we're tossing this around, do we want to look at it?
I'm really interested in it. I'm having difficulty understanding how it fits in with the staffing assessment and the AI assessments that we just authorized you to enter. Is there a timeline you can share? Like, what are the timeframes for the three things we do? And I'm not asking you to answer this now, but
Okay.
it'll be helpful for me to know what those 3 timelines are for those, and then perhaps where this would overlay and fit within that.
I think, and just from what we voted on here today, I say the mission critical partner stuff would come first, because we want to look at, okay, and work with them and go, okay, here's this AI tool we're looking at using while you're doing the staffing assessment. And then if it's something that we're seriously about pursuing, then we go that direction.
Or at least go to the next step, which is, once you get mission critical partners up and going, you can circle back on this and do a demonstration.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that approach.
Okay.
Okay, so we will hold this in our back pocket for a little bit, get mission critical partners moving forward, circle back around. All right. Stickage.
In your packet, you have the statement of work that he asked me to make sure that this went to you guys and to make sure I have approval to use them. It would start about October. The only thing that I don't understand is on the back page here on the schedule of fees, it went up, and he sent me an email. It said it was going up $800 instead of $800 to $8,600. But then we got the bill yesterday and it's still $7,600. So I don't.
Next year. Next year.
So I just wanted to make sure that that was in your hands and that you had an opportunity to vote that we want to allow them to start around October.
So the scheduled fees was for the year ended June 30, 2025, $8,600.
And this the 25 until it says 78. So
Sign it.
I'll just call it.
I don't think we need a motion for that. We always do an audit. It's budgeted.
Okay. So I can just tell him that. it's-
Sign away, yes.
Okay.
You can sign the
And the
statement of
minutes will
work.
show that you reviewed it with the board.
Reviewed it with the board. All right. Rock Hill departure update.
We have, I've been working with Garrett. We have one payment that we're waiting on, the AT&T bill, and then that's all done. Kurt has been working with them on, and getting the fire station alerting from us over to them. And I know Garrett's working on, there are 2 phone numbers. Well, the 645-3000, they're not going to use that, but the second line that you mentioned to me,
99562.
after we obsessed that and it rang into dispatch, so he's going to work with the phone people to get that, because we don't want to reduce yours. Which we're still answering their calls.
Okay.
Anything else to add there, Kurt? I know you've done a little more on this than I have.
I've been working with Central County and St. Louis County. St. Louis County and East Central use the same CAD system, but St. Louis County does things is a little different than ours. So they've been in there changing things. It doesn't impact what we're doing right now, but so they're ready to go. Central County, the last time I talked to them, the fire station alerting has a AT&T fiber line to it, and AT&T's being a little elusive on what day they'll be out there to cut over. And I told Garrett before the meeting, and I told Central County, you know, if it happens June 30th, great. If the first is fine, you know, we'll work with them. We're not gonna just leave them high and dry. But Central County and I have been working real close on coming up with some backup plans to where they're getting calls to give them to us so we can dispatch them. So
Any other questions on that? All right, bylaws for ECDC partner cities.
Yes, ma'am. There were two primary versions I could find, 2002 and 2020. I read them at least 5 times, and I've read every participation agreement that we've done between all the cities. I can find 0 wording in any of these documents that says to bring on a city, they have to bring police and fire together. I just wanted to update that because I know you asked about it.
I did, and I appreciate your research on that stuff.
For 2 days, I got almost excited. I did that for 2 days because I'm like, I'm not going to miss it.
Well, I have also looked multiple times and was just continued to be told that it was in there. So I greatly appreciate your research and helping us
Yes, ma'am.
level set, because it in fact is not part of the bylaws. I think that changes the discussion is quite a bit that we're going to have, and perhaps in terms of recruiting other member cities as we improve our operations. So is the fact that it was not actually included in there surprising to others? I continue to be told that it was. Jennifer, you told me that it was in there.
Yeah, because I was told it was in there. And I had a conversation, I talked to Marty Bookerin, about a couple other things, and I was like, hey, is it in the bylaws? Because he was, you know, here when it started. And he said, no, he didn't think it was, but it was more tradition. And so I think, like the telephone game, right? Things get passed down. And so.
And I didn't call Paul and yet.
So I'm just gonna say that's also further disappointing, considering Paul, as you all know, presented to my city council, and this has been not just hinted as practice, it has been told and passed on that it is part of either our operating agreements or bylaws, and so it's disingenuous, and that has been the unfortunate part.
All right. Anything else for this?
Okay.
All right. Public comment. See shakings of heads. All right. Is there anything else from the board members before we adjourn?
Is there any update on the Regis meeting, the invitation that was sent out?
I did sit with Ryan for about an hour, or not both did. It's July the 2nd. It's everybody. So he said that he had spoke with one of the mayors, and he had offered him, hey, if you would come by Regis, you know, kind of show you our operation, not just the CAD, but also for a data center and things like that. And so this mayor comes by, he gives him a tour, and he's like, oh my God, I didn't know that you did all this. You need to get other elected officials and other, you know, mayors and city council people in here and give them the same spiel. So he actually he has the demo team coming from Motorola, and they're going to do a high-level executive demo. The chiefs that want to come are more than welcome. They're both fire and police. Of course, you all. And he said they're going to do it in a big auditorium there at Regis. And just to get the word out there of.
Was it one of our mayors?
The Regis is, yeah. So we were going to ask for an alternative date. Our council is certainly very interested in it, but doing it 4th of July week is really unfortunate timing to actually get participation.
And this is one of those things, he didn't run it by me at all. I was told, hey, this is happening. I'm like, oh, can I at least sit down with him first? And, you know, and so we did. And he's like, yeah, I've already sent out all the things.
Well, if he gets for participation and complains about it, you can let him know why.
Yes, I will.
No, I mean, staff will be there, but no information. I can make July 2nd.
It was a really hard date to make, and well, maybe perhaps as a board, we share that.
Yeah, but they do it again.
But
Do you want me to at least reach out and see if he's
Why not just reschedule it?
amenable to reschedule it now?
Well, I mean, but they sent this out to a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But I mean.
Was it beyond
if we just do another
You
one,
know, the response I've gotten back is, that was a really bad idea to do it on the Fourth of July weekend.
I thought it was more than ECDC, is it?
Yes, oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's more than ACDC.
It's not just ECDC.
It's the whole ARCAD, it's everybody to use the.
we could ask for another date just for ECDC.
Yeah, I would definitely pitch it, that's fine.
And perhaps inviting city managers and chiefs would be helpful as well.
Just in case, would anybody be willing to host it? At one of their buildings?
I thought the whole point is going to Regis
Good
and
point.
seeing their, I mean,
I'm thinking
I've
that-
toured Regis at least twice, but it was before P1. It was just come see the data center and all the things.
I was just thinking that one thing, but you're right. Never mind.
All right. Anything else from anybody else? Okay. Future board of director meeting dates are listed there for the next 3 months. As far as I know, there's no need for a closed session. I will take, unless anybody has anything else, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, well, it passes 6-1 and we are adjourning at 3:59.
Closing and adjourning the meeting passes 6-1.
We're not closing. I didn't ask for a closed session. I asked just for adjournment.
Okay, so that went 6-1. What am I missing? Someone doesn't want to adjourn?
David, you don't want to adjourn, or David, did you hear your vote? wrong?
I do want to adjourn. I think I got a little delay here, so, yeah.
Okay. I was like, all right, 7-0. We are adjourned.
I don't think the chairperson has to ask.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you think about some dates? You wanted to do that?
Nice.
Curious about the one you did last time?
The website has. You want that because everybody has to use that. Share, it's a little bit. Arrow house, I mean, I think.